And I hope the UK Ireland NDC chapter is doing well.
Oh, by His grace, we're doing well. We're doing as best as we possibly could, mobilizing ourselves and preparing for the Salvation Day, the Independence Day on 7th December 2024.
Salvation Day.
Yes, sir.
You call it Salvation Day, Salvation Day, Independence Day in 2024. Salvation from what?
Yeah. Salvation from the hardship and very chronic ineptitude and incompetence that is being visited on Ghanaians. Salvation on the pain, the economic difficulties, the hunger, and the suffering that Ghanaians are going through, at the hands of a government that is, to say it in the lead word, very insensitive to the plight of Ghanaians. Every Ghanaian now knows that this government has checked out of office a long time ago. They do not care. Day in, day out, prices are jumping around and flying away like the famous kite. And yet we keep hearing, like the other day, that the account of the John Kuma had $30 million, not cedis, in it. Just multiply $30 million by 50, and you see the amount of money that these guys have been pilfering, helping themselves to and diverting to their personal coffers, not just into the under the beds of Cecilia Dapa, but we can now see if a deputy minister in the person of John Kuma could accumulate $30 million in the space of 3 short years. That's $10 million every year. And this is money that should have gone into development, into improving the livelihoods, improving roads, and general well-being of Ghanaians. And so Ghanaians can't wait to see the back of this government. The government knows it, the MPP knows it, and that's why they have moved into stealing mode. But just as Ghanaians resisted oppression and overthrew the colonial structures on 6th March 1957, 7th December 2024 shall be our new Independence Day, where we shall throw off the shackles of insensitive and incompetent governance by the MPP and bring back the savior of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, to get us back to where Ghana should be, so that Ghana can work again for the ordinary people.
I see. And in order to do that, it depends on the structures you put in place. And I'm sure you've heard about the campaign team that the party has announced. What do you think?
Oh, that is a very brilliant campaign team. And I think that when I read it, I'm very heartened, and it gives me a lot of pleasure, because I know that this team is going to lead us to victory. Our victory is already assured. This team is going to protect our vote. This team is going to lead us. In a certain sense, all of us as politicians, be the MPP, CPP, are supposed to be leaders. But in this case, the MPP has checked out, and it behoves on us, the NDC, and the other smaller parties, to come together and make sure we throw off the NDC. That team is filled with solid young men and women who are capable of coordinating our campaign. And this is one thing I want to say. Being a national campaign team doesn't mean they're the only ones campaigning. I am responsible for also doing my bit, whatever I can do to campaign. These gentlemen and ladies are there to make sure they can provide leadership to our campaign efforts and ensure we can get to that the other side of victory. And so the team I see is made of dynamic young men and women. In the main, if you look at them, most of them are either party officers or former party officers who I have no doubt would excel. You have about 8 of them from the National Party office, that's the core campaign team, and then you have 3 from the flag bearers office, and then 3 from the running mates office. Every single one of them there is an accomplished person who has contributed enormously to the development of Ghana, and I know have love of party and love of country at heart, and will be leading us to that victory. So I am very confident in that. Now, I know there are noises around, why is somebody not there, why is someone there, why is no one there. Many of us are campaigning on the ground. This team you have there is the team that is going to lead us to victory. It does not suggest that our 275 MPs, and if you notice carefully, the core campaign team does not contain MPs, mainly because we need the MPs to work hard. So if you look at numbers 1 to, if you like, number 14, made of at least the core people who are the first 8 being from the party office, then the next 3 being from the flag bearers office, and the last 3 being from the running mates office. It has been deliberately created to allow our MPs to maintain maximum pressure and maximum campaign to retain their seats, and those who are parliamentary candidates to wrestle those seats from the MPP. The rest of us in here are now supposed to lead the party to supplement the efforts of the strong men and women on the ground. And so I am very delighted by this team. If I were a parliamentary candidate, I would not like to have to be fighting my parliamentary campaign in my constituency, and at the same time having to be touring the nation to be coordinating. That would be way too much. At this stage, we need maximum number of MPs in parliament, and we are going to secure President Mahamad's victory, so that the maximum number of MPs we have can support President Mahama in making the change. And I think it is a good decision that the party has made to ensure that our core national campaign team is composed of party officers and officers from the office of the flag bearer and the running mate, so that their singular focus is touring the 16 regions, coordinating and leading the campaign. The MPs and their campaign teams will focus within the constituencies to ensure that we maximize our parliamentary seats. So I think this is a brilliant strategy. And look, I don't think people should be reading too much into the noises that the MPP is putting about saying, this person is missing. It means they are not valued by the party. Every single member of our party is valued. Every single member of our party is needed. From we, the ordinary members on the ground, right all the way up to the flag bearer, we are all involved in this victory. And let us all play our part within the leadership provided and make sure we turn out every single parliamentary seat possible. We must have an absolute majority, very comfortable majority, and President Mahama must win handsomely so that we can chase this elephant back into the bush.
There are also those who make the point that they don't see a lot of new dynamic faces in the campaign team. The majority of the people you see are old faces, most of whom have little to fight for. What do you say to that?
I find it very interesting in the sense that when I look at this, it's a refreshing one. And whilst at that, let me congratulate Honorable Alex Sebafia, my own senior comrade and former chairman of NDC UK and Ireland chapter, who is also our current director of international relations. He is now the head of the Running Mates campaign. These are the kind of solid people with a track record we are talking about. A very accomplished lawyer who plied his trade at the highest level in this country, in the United Kingdom, and has come home to support and is working tirelessly to make sure we can throw this elephant into the bush. If this is not the level of competence you are looking for, what else do you want? Let me salute my other UK and Ireland comrade, Chief Hamilton Biney, who, even though he's in the UK studying, is making time and straining to be part of this campaign, traveling to Ghana to make sure that this elephantic disaster in Ghana can be thrown off the pedal of governance. These are the kind of dynamic people that are there. I see Beatrice Ann and my sister, very young, very prolific, very dynamic. I could keep listing them on. I see my brother Alaji Kool younger. His name says it all. Who is younger than Alaji Younger? So these are the kind of strong and dynamic people. You have the youth organizer, General George Opariado, who is younger than the youth organizer, who is more dynamic than the youth organizer. These are the kind of firebrands, the kind of people with purpose that are best placed to lead us in there. When we come to our parliamentary front, we have our strong titans in parliament. From my own Isaac Adongo in Bolga to my brother in Asawasi, very strong dynamite in the party, to Haruna Idrisu, Dominic Ayene, you can keep naming them. We have all the strong titans that are fighting hard to keep their seats, because the MPP is determined to steal parliamentary seats through money. So we cannot afford at this stage to take any parliamentarian off his constituency, because the MPP is seeking to try and embarrass us by taking out some of our big guns through pumping money into those constituencies. So we need to support them by not shackling them into a national campaign team. We need to support them by allowing them to focus on their parliamentary seats, and we throw in more resources, more people, because this campaign team will be going to each constituency to support them to deliver their seats. I think it is a brilliant idea. If I were a member of parliament or a parliamentary candidate, I will not want to be running my campaign daily, and by God, it's difficult. going through all the branches, the wards within electoral areas within your constituency. Some of them can have over 200 electoral areas. I don't want to be doing that whilst knowing that I need to be catching a flight from Wa all the way down. Let's assume that my honorable MP, Honorable Rashid Pelpu, the very indefatigable MP for West Central, was put into this central campaign team, and say that you have a national campaign team going to Central Region, but then he has to hit the grounds in West Central. How do you expect him now to fly from West Central back to Accra, then take a vehicle all the way to Central Region, go and do the work, and when he finishes, drive back to Accra, take another flight back to Wa, right? And hoping that there's a flight that day. You can imagine the pain you'll be giving to him. And that is why we need these dynamic and strong MPs in their constituencies to maximize the vote both at the parliamentary and presidential in their constituencies. Whilst you need these national officers who are not shackled by a parliamentary campaign to do the overall coordination. These guys are the coordinators. They are not the ones who are necessarily going to be doing the door-to-door. And I'm not going to be sitting waiting for the Alaji Yonga or Professor Alabi to come to my constituency before I do door-to-door. I will have to be doing it every single day. And so this is a brilliant team that will lead us to victory. It's a brilliant strategy to keep the parliamentarians off. You'll see that when it comes to the steering group, the minority leadership is on there to bring in the voice of parliament. But that should be it. The minority leader himself is not even on the national campaign team because he has to win his seat. You know that Odami and Co, we have been able to expose through the great Japa. And we've been able to expose all the things they were trying to do to get Honorable Atuforsen off. So that tells us that the guys want to go to the very heads of our parliamentary leadership. They want to go to all our senior parliamentarians and try and take them out by way of embarrassment. But this strategy insulates against that. This strategy allows parliamentarians to focus on their constituencies, allows national officers and young dynamic blood to also go in, whilst putting in, and notice, the steering group is made of some of the very seasoned people, from the likes of Honorable Hudi Yahya, the likes of Chairman General himself, General Sirin Ketia, the likes of Dr. Dufour, the likes of our former chairman, Kufusu Ampofu, the likes of Tutubi Kwachi, the likes of Honorable Dua Jahu, the likes of Honorable Julius Debra, Valerie Soya, Honorable Sampi Ali, my own solid Pro Forum member. This is the first time you are seeing the Pro Forum being brought in directly, both as part of the core campaign team in the form of our brother Richard Anamo, and of course in the steering committee. So it's a balance of experience, right, sitting in the steering group that advises the campaign team, and the dynamic young blood not shackled by parliamentary, if you like, obligations in the core campaign team. And this together with the parliamentarians and their campaign teams in each parliamentary seat, I am sure this is the surest bet for safeguarding our victory. I have no doubts in the abilities, the confidence, and if you like, the strength of this team to deliver what we need to deliver. I am more than happy, way over the moon with this.
I'm sure you have your own expectations of the campaign team as a chapter leader of the party. What are those expectations?
So my expectation that the campaign team will play the strong coordinating role it plays. And I know, for example, when I speak to some of them, you see some of our most senior people who have paid all their dues, the likes of Honorable Betty Muridrisu, they are still pounding the grounds in Ashanti region on our behalf. Even though they are in the steering, they are also on the ground. Everybody is out there. And that is part of my expectations. Nobody sits in head office or sits in any office to call shots. We are not fighting a battle of minds. It's a battle of grit and brawn. It's a battle of being on the field. Yes, we have our master tacticians. There is no better tactician than our national chairman, General Asirin Ketia. He is going to provide that direction that we need. But of course, these people will be on the ground. And this is why you see, when I see people at Beatrice and I'm on there, that is the new face of the NDC. The young, the strong, the vibrant, the prolific. That is what we want on the ground. Being led by the experience of the Honorable Hudi Yahya and those who are in the background with the experience, giving the advice, complementing the efforts at the branch level, the constituency level, the regional level. That is what we want. All I want is our people on the ground selling the message of change, selling the message of salvation on 7th December. And many Ghanaians have bought into it. But of course, also identifying and closing off all the potential loopholes that the MPP wants to use to steal this election. We will leave no stone unturned, and I'm very much confident that the strong titans like Professor Alabi who are on there are going to do a brilliant job in making sure that we match this MPP boot for boot, just like we did during the registration exercise. You notice that our teams were correcting the EC every single time. That tells you that NDC, Yawukum, I am very, very much elated with this. They exceed my expectations in terms of what they've already done, and I know they are going to do more. And we, the teaming members, will rally behind them in every single way we can. We will support them to make sure they deliver. If they are going wrong, we will steer them back onto the path. Of course, they are human and they are fallible, but we will make sure that come what may, come hell or high water, we are going to make sure that that emphatic victory on the day of salvation, 7th December, is guaranteed. No two ways about that. And this team is more than capable, more than competent, and more than able to deliver it, my brother.
And talking about the salvation job, the independence job. Now, this morning, I'm looking at the daily graphic. It says 7.3 million Ghanaians face poverty. It's talking about 24.3% of Ghanaians facing all kinds of multi-dimensional poverty. That's what the statistical services, they say they are facing deprivations in healthcare, education, employment, and living conditions. And then the story continues. Unemployment contributes the most to the multi-dimensional poverty index at 32.6%. Let me continue by poor living conditions contribute to 27.9%. Poor access to healthcare, 21.7%, and lack of education, 17.8%. Nearly half, that's 42.8% of those in the multidimensional poverty experience severe poverty. This is the Ghana you are seeking to rescue. Does it not scare you?
So when I see these numbers, it actually, far from scaring me, it actually gingered me and the many teeming Ghanaians that things must change. You have a government that has now successfully got to a situation where, as you read, the level of unemployment based on this multi-poverty index is at 32%. It means for every 3 Ghanaians you meet, one of them out there has no employment, is struggling. And you see, when you look at each of these indexes, your health index, your living conditions index, or quality of life, or unemployment index, they are separate. This multi-dimensional poverty index actually says, you could have 10 people, of which only 2 are suffering health, only 3 are suffering unemployment, only 2 are suffering education. So not everyone suffers everything. It takes a holistic view and say, what if I only focus on those that suffer all the 4? That's why it's called multi-dimension. So you are poor across all 4. So it is not saying that this is just taking it and looking at it and say, right, if I look at the 4 key areas of well-being, health and education, your living conditions and employment, who is suffering across all of them? Who is poor across all of them? And you are having as much as almost 1/4 of all Ghanaians suffering this. It means for every 10 Ghanaians, every 4 Ghanaians that are working there, one of them is got no job and is struggling badly. Their living conditions are very terrible, very severe. They do not have access to at least 9 years of education. So they have not got, and if you look at it, 9 years education equal to primary school and JSS. What we are looking at there is that for every single 17% of Ghanaians don't have primary school or JSS education, primary plus JSS. And then healthcare. For every 5 Ghanaians, one of them cannot go to hospital. Israel India will have national health insurance. Now, what this is telling you, this is a true picture of the hardships that Ghanaians are going through. How is it that in spite of planting for food and jobs, living conditions are this terrible? How is it that in spite of one district, one factory that is supposed to have created millions of jobs as Baumia counts around, 32% of Ghanaians cannot get a job? And not only can they not get a job, there is a difference between you are finished and you are complete. And there's a famous explanation on it. These are the people you say they are completely finished. if you add it into that terminology. No jobs, no access to healthcare, no access to education, no access to even a decent life or living standards. That is the Ghana that needs to be rescued. These are the numbers we had. Remember, and the root causes of this are very basic. It was barely a year and a half ago that the World Bank warned us, November 2022, that almost 1 million Ghanaians, 850,000 Ghanaians, had been pushed into poverty. These are the numbers we are now seeing. So if you're looking at a population of roughly 30 million, it's now about 35 million. So if you take that population and you take 1/4 of them, so for every 30 million Ghanaians, 7.5 million Ghanaians are living in this excruciating poverty. That is what it is telling us. So of the 35 million Ghanaians we have, about 8 million Ghanaians have no job prospects to the tune of 32%. They can't access healthcare. They cannot access education, and their living standards are terrible, worse than the word terrible. This is what National Salvation is here to save. This is even gingering us, Ghanaians, to make the change that we need. And in spite of this, when we are seeing all this, we are hearing that you heard of Sir John's will, with plots in Achimota, Ramsey Fields, wherever, all the kind of plush apartments. We've just seen John Kume's account. An NPP former chairman is telling us that there's $30 million in John Kume's account. And at the same time, 8 million Ghanaians have no jobs, have bad living conditions, no education, basic education, and no access to healthcare. This is the Kwame Nkrumah Ghana? No. That is why that salvation is there. And the sad part of it is, I'm sure MPP will come here and make noise about livelihood empowerment and whatever program LEAP. When you look at the numbers there, look, a household with one person eligible for LEAP gets only 128 cedis a year. What are you going to do? How many balls of kinky is that? That's roughly about 20 what? A ball of kinky at 5 cedis. 20 balls of kinky, that's 100 cedis. Another 4. So 24 balls of kinky is what the LEAP payment can make for the individual one person. I know it graduates up when you have 4 people, it goes to 212, but divide that 212 by the 4 people in the household, you are down to about what? 52 cedis. How many balls of kinky is that? Just 10 balls of kinky that a LEAP payment can make. So you can imagine the hardship. And I'm using kinkonomics this morning because you'll be arguing, 100 cedis is better than nothing. But that is true. I have 4 people in my household that are severely poor, and therefore money is being given by World Bank and UNICEF, not government money, to be given to them. And we are giving them only 50 cedi per person a whole year as their LEAP payment. And it's only going to buy, roughly 10 balls of kinky. What are they going to do with that? It will even last them a week. So the system is now in a very impossible position. And these people do not care. The NPP do not care. Every day you hear there is one deal after the other, one scandal after the other. Beachfront properties being sold to the former national chairman's son. You have the president's secretary, Bidu Etuenku, snatching properties. You have Brian Achampon trying to steal 4 of our plush and top-notch hotels when his own hotel is making bad losses. I've never seen somebody who is broke by way of financial statements, who is making losses by things that they can go and take over a Labadi Beach hotel that is giving 25 million CD dividends to the government of Ghana. This is the situation we are in, my brother. There are no jobs, no healthcare, no education. LEAP payments are an insult and they are even delayed. And yet we have arrogant ministers screaming around, and excuse me to say, a clown of a vice president roaming around with a child steer, screaming at the top of his voice, "No man is steer, no." To do what with us? You have driven us into a ditch and you want to steer? You need to steer yourself out of governance. That is what we need now.
Thank you very much for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you, my brother, and a very good day to all your listeners and your team.
Of course, I'm sure one of the conversations we'll have one of these days is on when your solution is finally put out. We're waiting for that manifesto has been talked about so much. Exactly what you intend to do when given power. That's a conversation that, of course, I'll have with Conrad Dumbah, who is the chairman NDC UK Ireland chapter. I wish you the best of the day.
Thank you, my brother. And you won't be disappointed when it comes out.
I hope so. Well, that is Conrad Dumbah.